Good morning to you. It's daybreak at 8:41. I'm Jeff Slakey. Hope you're having a good start to your day. Thursdays at this time, thanks to our community credit union, we focus on Shelton. Got two great guests in studio to talk about the business of the city. City Manager Ryan Wheaton and Community and Economic Development Officer Andy Arness in the studio with me this morning. Morning, guys.
Good morning, Jeff.
Couple of things to talk about here. Ryan, we'll start with you. A budgeting retreat earlier this week, talking the beginning of the budgeting process for next year. What did you guys talk about? Who all was there, and kind of what were some of the things discussed?
So it's an annual retreat. It was our elected officials, so 3 commissioners, and also our leadership team. So you have the department directors, court administrator. We had fire there. And it is a time for us to kick off this process and really for us to go over what it looks like to put a budget together, to remind everybody this is Nola's first budget with the city, and she did a phenomenal job presenting that information. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, are we looking currently at projections of revenues and expenditures that are better than years gone past, or even at that point yet?
We're not quite there, but looking at this year, we did bring revenue and expenses for 2017, and we're pretty close to where we expected. So we're going to do a budget amendment because we did have, obviously, the garbage money, the Mason County garbage contract that came through, and we need to make sure that that money is allocated. But in terms of 2017, we're looking right about where we expected to be. After we went over the background information, then we got into what department needs are and some ideas there. We spent the balance of the meeting talking about the priorities for the commission. That was really the crux of the meeting. And from there, we got a few items that we're really going to focus on as we bring things forward September and October, as we bring these out in the public and get some feedback. So we're looking at public safety as number 1 for the commission. Second was economic development, and the area that's important to us because we talk about it a lot, but we don't really invest much in that area. Third, they're looking at technology upgrades. We have some needs across the city. And then beyond that, we're looking at facilities and also implementing the vision plan.
So, Andy, when it comes to economic development, you're part of this conversation now too, as that's part of your position. What are some of the things that you think could be a good way to develop the economy here moving forward into the budget?
Sure. Well, I think initially the planning is what we need. We need to come up with a strategic plan, and so that's what was presented is some options on how to get the data and also that plan in place so that we know kind of where we stand initially and what direction to take.
How's things been going with Mason County Garbage and the contract takeover? July 1st, it's been a month and a half so far. And I mean, our garbage is getting picked up on Wednesdays. So
mine gets picked up at my house too. It's gone very well. I think that initially they realized that it was a lot of work, and they scrambled to get enough people in place to do it. But to their credit, they put a lot of work in as we were leading up to the takeover, and they have done, from our end, they've done a good job. We still have people that come in and ask about garbage service, and we're now pointing them in Mason County garbage direction. But from our perspective, they're a good partner to work with, and we think that the community will enjoy working with them as well.
So what's the process then here? Next up, September, a review of the preliminary budget, and moving forward on that, when will be kind of some hearings and potential votes on those kind of things?
You'll start to see some of this information come out in September. We'll bring it public. October, you'll see the preliminary budget that actually gets released, and we'll start working through that. The bulk of October for finance staff will be spent doing that. November, you'll see the public hearings. Then we want to be a little bit early this year. Last year, we ran right up to the edge, and I think that's been the history here. I prefer to give us a week or two in case anything needs to get looked at again.
Right.
But you'll see a final budget voted on in December.
Andy, let's then move on to the Shelton Out Loud survey results. It looks like maybe the middle of September is a chance for a lot of folks to talk, and that could be a great time right before some of these reviews on the budget. So when did the citizens think the best time for this is?
So we had a really strong response on the survey. So the best day of the week turned out to be a Wednesday, looks like, at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Civic Center. And so we've selected September 13th, which is a Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and we'll be hosting that. To kind of give you just an idea, we got a lot of great feedback on the comments on kind of some of the content and that to include in the meeting, and so we've taken that into consideration in the planning process. And so, like I mentioned before, we'll have somewhat of a format to the meeting, but then there'll also be a live Q&A. So we'll start out initially with pretty much an annual update from each department head. Then we'll have a administrative overview from Ryan. It's just the kind of the state of the city and some administrative processes that we go through. And then Mayor Gary Krantz will be doing a State of the City address. Then we'll move into the live Q&A portion, where this will be the chance for people to ask those questions. And so we're hoping that people come prepared with some questions and also some feedback to provide us with. And then we also will have some different kind of information stations set up that are reflective of that feedback that we've got. It's on some of the different projects, community development, and economic development, public works, budget, those kind of things. We'll have some information booths that are interactive there for people to participate in. And we're also going to have that live Twitter feed, which will actually start probably a little before the event, leading up to that, so we can get some feedback prior to there, maybe some questions that can be submitted earlier with that hashtag Shelton Out Loud, and we'll have that on display there at the event, so live streaming.
Is this something that the employees of the city have said this? We should think about doing this to engage the citizenry better. I know you guys do these often, the State of the City addresses, and obviously at your meetings on Mondays, commission meetings and whatnot. But is there a sense from the rest of the employees at the city that this is a good way to engage the community, perhaps in ways they have not been engaged with?
I think so. We do this on a smaller scale, and we'll do this throughout that time. We do listening tours, and we'll go out to Rotary groups and Kiwanis groups and different groups and speak. But those are very concentrated.
Yeah.
We also have our Monday meetings where anybody can come in and speak with the commissioner or a department director. But the one thing that we haven't been able to fix is the city's insistence on having all dialogue on Facebook. And this is really an invitation for those folks to come on in. It's not a stodgy meeting. It's not going to be like a commission meeting where it's very rigid and you only have a certain amount of time to ask a specific question. This is literally the things that you've been saying. Come in and address those, and we can probably explain a lot of those issues that people have, and they only talk about online, but they never stop by the office to discuss.
How is the online engagement on the Facebook and Twitter these days? I know that's been a recent push. A lot of folks are liking and commenting for the city. And
yeah, no, it's been good. We've had, I think, a lot of good response. But then, to Ryan's point, I think, Facebook's a great platform for putting out information, project updates. But to have like an effective discussion on either policy decisions or projects and why those decisions are being made, it's not really an effective platform.
No.
It's hard to have those discussions. And so again, we do have those weekly meetings. Our doors are always open for people to come in and have those discussions with the leaders. But again, I think the idea behind this is to create that environment where people feel comfortable to come in and just have a good community discussion and kind of maybe give us an opportunity to present some of that information, but also to hear their feedback in a platform that I think is probably a much more effective environment to have that discussion.
And it only takes so long before the folks that are getting bashed on Facebook that are trying to do hard work stop reading it.
Sure.
So at a certain point,
Sure.
our folks have tuned some of that out. Andy deals with it every day, but that's an opportunity for us. We use it to get information out, but we don't have our department directors and our roads crews sitting behind a computer to answer Facebook questions all day. We want to get information out that way, and there's some dialogue that takes place there, but really we want to remind people that there are human beings that work at the city, and you can come in and talk with them whenever you want, and we can make time. And we just decided to make an event so that people can come in. We'll talk on stage, but we'll also have a breakout portion at the end where we talk about projects with the people that are actually going to implement them.
Face-to-face communication.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Shocking that it's.
We're hoping
amazing.
It works.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed on this one. Wednesday, September 13th, 6 o'clock at the Civic Center is your opportunity to talk about the things going on in the city. City Manager Ryan Wheaton, Andy Arness, Communications and Economic Development Officer for the city. Thanks, guys.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Good
Thanks,
to
Jeff.
see you here.